those times I said that I love you, you lied to me. Yes, I tried. Yes, I tried. You lied to me. Even though you knew I'd die for you, you lied to me. Yes, I cried. Yes, I cried. Return after me. It is. Return after me. Come on. Return after me. Oh my God.
Okay.
Hey y'all, Vanessa here with Back to the Basics of Barbecue, and today we are talking to the man, the myth, the legend, the legendary, iconic, and he comes from my hometown, so let's just put that out there that there's some good barbecue coming from Refugio County. Mr. Ira Green with Flying G Barbecue. Ira, how are y'all doing this evening?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing good, actually. So I'm on spring break, so I'm doing really good right now.
Yeah,
catching up on naps for me is what spring break is about.
Awesome. We had some decent spring break weather. It's starting to get a little ugly outside now. I think it's gonna get cold
You know
tomorrow.
what?
So.
It is, and it's supposed to like drop like I don't know 30 something degrees by tomorrow. So so it's gonna be kind of intense. But we're gonna make it work though. We're gonna be outside in it, but we'll see how it goes.
Be at the beach.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Ira, how did you come up with the team name Flying G Barbecue? Flying G.
Well, as many know, I do Flying G trucking with my pops, and I've always messed around with barbecue just a little bit. But he told me one day he'd pay my entry fee at my first cook-off back in Floresville. We did tractor pulling, and we're Flying G antique tractor pullers, Flying G trucking, and so we had a tractor pull / barbecue cook-off, and I went over there, and quite naturally, I entered under Flying G barbecue, cuers or cookers, and actually done decent. And so we kicked some names around and this and that, and I had like 2 or 3 different names, but a lot of the when you first start out, you cook the cook-offs around local from where you're at, and so Seguin being where we're known for what we do is truck driving, hauling, and then of course our tractor pull side. Well, I had like different, I think like ribbing it up was one, and smokestacks, and no matter where I went, every time I either got a call, luckily, or did something, they would holler Flying G. Or even when they seen me, or even on the radio, even though I'm Ira, I never had a CB handle. I was just Flying G. And so I left it at that, and it still goes to this day.
It's
So one
stuck.
of the
Yeah,
names,
it was like one of those nicknames that you get and then it sticks, right? I like
right.
it. I
And
like
so
that. That's
I
actually a
just
cool
changed
story.
stickers over and put it all that, put the stickers on my pick, calling it that. And my dad liked it, of course, and it made sense, so we ran with it. Mm-hmm.
I was like waiting for some story about like, you were the OG. And so we got like, but I like this story
that's
too.
one reason I like it. It stands, I tell them, they ask what it stands for. And of course it's Green, last name. But, I'm like, go getter, gangster,
That's right.
greenback.
Exactly.
It stands for anything.
It stands for
Grilling,
all of the above, right? All of the
right.
above.
Right.
I love it. So tell me about that first cook-off. You said Floresville?
Yes.
When was that? When was that?
Oh, geez. If I had to put a date on it, I want to say it was like maybe early 14, 15, 13, 14. And they had a tractor pull there in Floresville and a barbecue cook-off. And again, my dad, knew I wanted like cooking and whatnot. My forte was ribs. And then I always cooked my grandfather's brisket, which was, old school, 82 hours, salt, pepper, some, just old school, stay up all night, burning mesquite wood. And so I told him, okay, and he got his brother-in-law to go in with me. So we packed all our little janky pits, and I pulled also, but I only pulled one time, and they stayed over on the other side pulling, and we stayed cooking. And we went to awards, and it just so happened I got a second place brisket. I got beat by some really, really good cookers. Well, that's all it took. I was like, dude, I can do this. Like,
You were hooked at
wow.
that point. Yeah, yeah.
Right. It was like about 30 some cooks. It was, I didn't know everybody back then, but I knew they had a big party, and they actually turned down to be Mike and Julie. They were judges back then for IBCA. Real nice couple. And he came to congratulate me because he GC'd it, of course, first place brisket and whatever else. And I was talking to him, and he was like, "Man, you got any questions? This is a fun field, fun sport. Just come let me know. You're more than welcome at my place. What it is, they had an old saloon style like trailer, and it was a bar. And he reminds me of like Travis Tritt or just the old school country guy, with little
Yeah.
curls in the back,
Yeah, yeah.
And real nice guy. Like I said, him and his wife are top notch. And to this day, I always still, I can ask him anything. He'll tell me. So he was like one of the first guys to actually, extend a helping hand. And I told him it was my first time, and I was ecstatic. And so, that was really the first time I'd ever cooked, and we ran with it since then. We just started going into more and more.
Man, I love that story. And then about getting like some helpful advice and tips from
Mhm.
people that were cooking in the game. Do you think that like that has changed over time? Like, because this sport has definitely evolved. Do you think that that has changed like from when you started back in like 13 to now in terms of like that camaraderie that we see at cook-offs?
I mean, I really don't think so. I think it's actually a little more open. Back then, I mean, I still catch myself doing weird stuff, like I don't pack original seasoning bottles to cook-offs and stuff. Back then, it was real brisket or something. Like you look over and you see somebody using Heinz ketchup bottle. That's not Heinz in that bottle. Everybody had
Mhm.
shakers, or they would still tell you stuff, but I guess they controlled what they let out, the knowledge that they gave out. And depending on who you ask, most everybody still help. To this day, they still help. But I think now you probably can walk up to the cookers now and they'd almost give you a free class. I don't know what it is. I don't know what changed, but everybody's real friendly. And if you're serious enough and they know you're serious, I mean, if you listen, there you got to just catch the tidbits. They're probably going to say 10 words, and out of those 10 words, six of them is the four that you're looking for. They're like, oh, and you put those four with yours and you go from there. And they might not even put emphasis on it, but they will tell you. It all depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for just, shoot the crap conversation, that's what you're going to get out of it. If you go there bull harking, you're going to get bull harking from them. But if you understand what they're saying and you're actually, serious about it, you can probably walk away with some good knowledge just from by saying hello to a couple of cooks. 10-minute conversation, you'll walk out of there with a lot of info. So I
Absolutely.
think it's,
I
it's
think
probably the same, if not more.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think that's one of the good things about like knowing all the people that
Yeah.
we know in this sport, because you could go visit and you know what, maybe I might just be needing a little bit of help with my chicken, because like right now my chicken is struggling. But
Everybody's
um
chicken struggle, I swear. I think like Clarence is the only one never struggled with chicken. Like TJ, like he's the only one always hit with chicken all the time, no matter where. Everybody else
no
is
matter where
like,
he's at, yeah.
like
300 teams is still he's still there.
right. He's still getting the chicken walk. Him and Matthias, they're like the chicken gurus. It's like no matter
Yeah.
what, they're gonna walk in chicken. It can be
Matthias
100
is
degrees.
like a chicken king,
Yeah, they're chicken kings. It's like it's like what do y'all do? It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
just need one little hint, and I know I'm so close, like to getting
Mhm.
it back to like running again, but like man, it's just that one little thing I need. I'm gonna have to go visit with you next time we're at a cook-off, Ira, so I can get
And chicken's so finicky that it's weird because you can put emphasis on chicken. You can start making it walk, but your other two are gonna go down. I don't know what it
Ex-
is. It's chicken draws
exactly.
so
Like,
much
why can't we
energy.
just all three just like
They
hit it and
don't.
like
It's
let's
like they're
go?
siblings, and the chicken is the bad sibling that, like, if I'm gonna
Yeah,
show up, you better not show up either,
that's
or something.
right. Yeah, chicken is like the little baby's kid.
Yeah, you know, it's either gonna show up or it ain't gonna show up because the other two did. Like arguing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's either my time to shine or it's their turn to shine, but we're not shining
Right.
at the same time, kind of thing. Yeah. Uh,
Uh-huh.
all right. So, what got you started cooking barbecue? Because I'm sure you were surrounded by this maybe growing up. Because back in Refugio, everybody cooks, and so tell
Right.
me about those beginnings of barbecue before you started competing.
Well, I've always just liked the fact of cooking barbecue, and of course, my mother owned a barbecue restaurant when I was in college, there in Ontario. But the building, had its time. But she stayed open a while and would sell out every day. Of course, she wasn't making 8 briskets or nothing like that. It's Ontario. But what she did make sold out, and I would come down in the holidays in the summer, and I didn't want nothing to do with it. I was like, oh man, it's work and it's not fun. I wanted to cook in the country, fire, little alcohol, playing around, messing around, old school. And so I learned a lot from what she taught me. And then of course, throughout my family, everybody I know tried to grill barbecue, from it being at Levy's next door, them are all my kinfolk. I think they had tongs and spatulas, never went inside. They just stayed out on the grill every day. You walk over there, there was always something in the air, some kind of smoke in the air. But just from doing that, it's just I think it's between that and my grandfather barbecuing at home. And I remember, specifically the little grill. It's a pit actually. I got it outside. My dad made it for me in the early '70s, I think, and welded Ira on it because his name's Ira, and so I've toted it around with me. But he would cook briskets, ribs. My aunt would cook on it, and it's a regular pit, But I just remember, it was awesome how you can take this raw piece of meat and it was tasted so good, and it looked way different. It was like I couldn't touch chicken. You couldn't pay me to touch a raw chicken. I almost couldn't pay me to touch any raw meat. It was like, ew. But after it was done, I touched a lot of it, so because it looked good. And so, I've always had I guess you could say the background of wanting to cook or having the little bit of knowledge to cook. And like I stated, I didn't do much of it when my mom had a restaurant. I just knew the basics. I would help her out during the middle of the night or whatever. My buddy Matt and I would sit at the windows and watch traffic go by and the Furio cops pull people over at 3 in the morning, while we're sitting in there clowning and, smoking briskets and drinking beers, or whatnot. But I think that what made me into the competition side is I used to live off of Highway 46 over here in Seguin. So, we flashed to years later, I done went through college and started work and was living over here in Seguin off 46. And like I said, my dad had mentioned it and we went to that one cook-off. So I kind of knew what a cook-off was. Well, on Fridays, I'd be out in the yard pulling around and I'd see a truck go by. It was a little Dodge pickup and he'd have a HEB barrel pit and a weed eater and a lawn chair sticking out the back. And he was, it was traffic, and I'd be out there fooling around, and I'd see him go by. Well, every Friday, I would see this truck go by. And one day, it came by with a nice, crazy looking barbecue pit with like a skull head on it. And I was like, that's awesome. Well, then this one day, I ran into that person at a gas station, and it just so happened it was Ernest Cervantes, Big E. And I learned that he was a chef. I was like, that's why, he cooked this and that. Well, he explained to me what he was doing. He was going to cook-offs. And I was like, wow. I was like, so the same thing I did in Floresville. And, back then Ernest had a few pounds on him, way more than he is now. And I was like, I've always been a big dude. So I was like, so big guys can do this. I was like, all right, all right. And so, and he was doing it every weekend. And I was single, had no kids, no wife, and I didn't have crap to do on the weekends. This is Friday, I'm weed eating or playing out, washing my truck, I didn't have nothing to do. And I was like, I could do this, and so I found out that it was something not just during a tractor pull once a year that I went to. It was every weekend. And so I reached back out to Mike and them. They were like, yeah, look up IBCA. And this is before internet was huge. It was around, but you had to, go talk to people. You just couldn't log on to IBCA and like, oh, look at all the cook-offs, and so I didn't even have internet. And I think I had like a flip phone or a razor or something like that. And so I catch him and I planned it that I could go to that same gas station on Fridays and sometimes catch him. He would stop there to fuel up or something. He had, Sabrina was all little and Belle was in there. So it was a family deal on top of that. And so I was like, Mom, you wanna, we can try to go do this and that. And so I started loading up my truck and trying to do this, go every now and then, because I would find them, by word of mouth, VFW cook-offs and such like that. They were still around Seguin, Luling, Floresville, not Skidmore, Stockdale. And so that's how I got into more competition cooking. And the next one we went to was San Marcos. And that's when I seen Mr. Robert Sierra, of course, another large gentleman that don't move nowhere near fast. And he actually kicked butt and took like all kind of trophies. So I was like, this is something fat dudes can do. I was just ecstatic. And so that's where, I got into competition cooking really by, seeing Ernest and Robert Sierra doing it. I was like, this is obtainable. Of course, I was far from doing what they were doing, but I knew it was, someone with not a whole bunch of money. Because see, Mike and him had rigs and team help and people tearing down stuff for him, and they were all dressed up duty. Ernest had on his work clothes. Robert Sierra had on his black shirt and a big ass hat. So I knew you didn't have to have a whole bunch of money to do it, but it was still obtainable. And so between my knowledge of learning in Refugio and growing up around it, I was like, I can do this. But of course, backyard barbecue don't win. So it was about a year and a half we did it, getting stomped. And, of course, we quit every weekend we did it. We quit that Sunday. But something got me to keep going to it. And finally, one day I was just like, I'm just going to have to read books and turn in. I went to judge, how they say, go judge. I finally went and judged and seen what people were turning in. And of course, I started bugging Clarence, and found out who he was. And, I was the guy that was walking my chicken across the competition. Can you taste this? Is this about, it's just, that's the way it started. And, between the cook-off family that I've grown to know and then my family back home, it just kept me into it. And it's addictive, and fun. Everybody's cool at it. So, that's pretty much how
And
we
it
started.
is addictive for
Yeah.
sure. For sure, it's addictive. I went a year like in the trenches cooking
No.
before I got
Y'all were everywhere.
involved
Y'all
at
be up in
all.
Santa Ana. I was like, wow, that takes dedication to go up there. Like, man, that's far.
I was in it, and I think that at the same time that helps determine whether it was something that was going to be just like a 1 or 2 time thing versus like being like something you're passionate about and that becomes like
Right.
a hobby that becomes part of your life,
Right.
Let's talk about your most memorable moment so far in barbecue. What has that been, Ira?
I've had a few of them, from funny to horrible, sad. I mean, the one, I don't know. It depends on which avenue we want to go down. Like I said, one, it's I guess you could say when I won uh, it used to, but now it's called the Showdown for IBCA. But back then when I won it, it was just like the world event. I think you even had to be a member to cook it. It was in Magnolia, and somehow I ended up winning that huge trophy that only the higher ups have gotten. Craig and all the founders of IBCA, literally old white men. And so I was like, dang, like, look at me. I got this badass trophy that, ain't nobody out here got, and I was just juiced up. And that specific cook-off is when Madi and her neighbor, which is my now bride, was watching. And, that's why I mess with her all the time, that we're an internet couple. It ain't that we're an internet couple, but she was watching, the awards over via telephone or Facebook or whatever was being recorded. And Matthias walked up to me and was like, hey, my wife is watching with a friend. And she said, hey, what's up? She seen you win, I'd won. So seeing me walk up there. So that night, is when I actually met my wife, and we started talking, blah, blah, blah. And here we are, like, I don't know, 6 years, something like that later. So that's one of the most memorable. And also during that time, my mother had just gotten sick. And so I could actually have used the pay that came with that winning, because there was a lot of winnings came with that. and I could have used that a lot at that point in time. And I wasn't even gonna go. And my mom was like, "No, go. I'm fine. I'm taken care of. I got medical team around me, this and that." So I went, and ended up winning. And so it was just a good weekend, and it's memorable. It's one of the bigger trophies I've ever won. Um, it's like I said, that night day that pretty much my wife came into my life, and of course Matthias. We became cooler friends. We knew each other, but not as tight as we are now. And so he's one of my better friends, and so I met him more that night, and just all around good event. So that's one of the most memorable times, in my barbecue career, I guess you
Man,
would say.
only a real G like you could end up winning the showdown and
Yeah,
finding the love of your life in the same day. Look at that. I love that.
right.
That's a beautiful story, Ira. I love
Yeah,
it. I love it.
and that was years about
You know what? That is a
2016, I
good
think.
moment. So your little girl, how old is she? How old's your baby?
She's 4.
Now, is baby girl gonna cook in a couple years?
I think she will. She when she was here with her mother-in-law was our caregiver, she I mean has a little hat. She can do a lot of baking and stuff. So she has a little niche for it, and she loves her little plastic grill. She'll get out and grill up some shrimp and rocks and chalk and everything else you put in there. But I think she will. I'm definitely gonna let her do it, from everything. I'm not gonna be the one to if she lose, she lose, she's gonna have to suck it up. But we will, reach out and get her some pointers from other little kid cooks that are awesome and doing good, and get her on the right path. But I hope she does, at least. It'll be fun, and I think she will.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that us letting our kids be a part of our hobby and our passion is a big part of, like, we're building the future barbecue cooks as well at the same time. Um, okay, what are a couple of things that are on your barbecue bucket list? Things that you're like, man, this is one thing I want to make sure I can do. Tell me about your barbecue bucket list.
Um, Probably eventually win San Antonio. I used to not be into all those, but it's so fun. And I mean, I had like a seventh and an 11th. So it's definitely obtainable. It's like it's on the verge. It can be done. At first, it was one of those like, wow, it just seems so far off, and you just went for the fun. But it actually can be obtainable. And then I've never been one for big on Houston or anything like that. Again, it's a lot of people, and but now I think I would like it if I went there under, where I could take my trailers. Basically, everybody warns me about the walking. My big ass ain't trying to walk nowhere. So it never sounded like, I was like, ain't nobody got time for all that. Walk all around that big ass place. But, if you win there yourself, you get your own camp, Champions Row, I heard this and that. So, but, I guess you could actually, and then just looking at all my buddies do it, it looks fun, but definitely San Antonio. And then, other than that, like I said, I have no big aspirations to do the large ones. I've qualified for the Royal a couple of times. To me, it's a lot of drama. I've never done it. I might eventually go up there just to be going to do something. But other than that, is San Antonio is probably the one that I would like to get because I know it's close, belt buckles, and it's just so much prestige behind San Antonio. I don't know, and I guess it's our area, but if you win San Antonio, you're the guy. I know
No,
a
for
couple of
sure, for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I know one of Clarence, he's won it like twice or something like that. Darwin Howe, it's a group, and I feel that not that I'm old like them, but I started when they were the group to be, and so it's like it's guys that I can name that people don't even know that won San Antonio years back, that or even hit first place brisket, and it's got buckles, and it's so many old school cats that were great cooks that I was like, man, I want to be like them. And here we are, 8, 9 years later, and it actually is possible, So it's one of my bucket lists mainly there. Other than that, it would be to probably go hit the circuit, whether it be CBA or KCBS, but just travel and do nothing but cook-offs for, like 6 months straight. But of course, I got a job, so you gotta come from bank to do that or be well stable, to peel off and do that. And of course, with little ones, and it'll be a while before we get to that stage, but hopefully by then we can knock that down. Just hit it in the motorhome or, hit the trail and don't come home for 6 months, and just go around cooking, vacationing, but doing cook-offs every weekend,
Yeah,
something
for
like that.
sure. And if you guys want me to go with y'all, I'll wash all the dishes.
Yeah, it'd be
Um,
awesome.
no, okay. So on my bucket list, man, I want to buckle so bad. You don't even understand. Like I went through a little tear where I won 6 GCs back to back, and I still don't have a buckle. Like I just want one
Wow.
buckle. That is like on my bucket list. I want a buckle. But let's get back to Mr. Green. So who was somebody? I know you talked about your Travis Tritt kind of friend or whatever that you started out with, but who was somebody that you would say you looked up to at the beginning of your barbecue cook-off? What was it, Ernest, or who
It
was
was
somebody that you would say you looked up to at that time?
it was probably, like I said, combination of the older cats. Ernest, it wasn't never just one. They all bought something different. Ernest, Clarence, you know, uh, Robert Sierra, Mike Blasky. It was a whole bunch of them, and they were just simply because they all had something different to add, whether it be come from nothing to something or being a black man, Clarence, and being prestige and, acknowledged and respected by so many, or just a large guy that didn't move fast like Robert, but they were all good in this craft and they all uh, had a lot of respect. And that's one thing, I like is, being respectful, you get respect back. And I mean, I don't know too many people that are as respected as that group of gentlemen, and there's many others, but those are probably the main ones because I've seen them week in, week out. And from, again, relationship status to personal family status, they, to me, in my eyes, excelled on all that, from Ernest having Sabrina's like a top notch young woman. She was, and I would ask Ernest, like, how do bringing home straight A's, doing softball, this and that? And he was like, bro, I can't get mad at her. I buy her, she does everything she needs to do. So I was like, if I ever had a family, that's the road that I want my little girl to be like that. And then boom, all of a sudden I have a little girl. So, it's like it was laid out for me to follow or pay attention to those gentlemen when I was coming up. The relationship Mama and Papa Joe have as a couple, in the cook scene. It's tight as my buttons on my button down shirt, just, uh, you know, that solid connection, to the little things that she do to help him, win when people walk up and want to talk. She knows to step in and distract. That was just, I was like, that's a player made move,
Yeah, for
and,
sure, for sure. And you
yeah,
know what?
so,
She does it so elegantly, like you don't
right, you
even
don't even
know at
know.
that point.
Yeah, so I was like, man, when my wife used to go, I want that, and we did, I'd be out there because I just start yapping, and Tom get away from me, and she'd come out, hey, we got to turn in ribs, my wife ain't so cool and elegant at it, she's just straight up blunt, like, hey, like, oh, okay, my bad, but
I'm so
just
sorry. I'm so
all those
sorry. I'm going. I'm going.
scenarios, just all those different scenarios from the gentlemen that I've seen, that I knew then that, were big influencers. And like I say, from life to cooking to everything cohesive, it came together, and so paying attention, like they say, you want to surround yourself with good or better people than, you are, and you succeed, So that's what I hope to choose to do and keep doing, and stay surrounded by awesome. She's in the office, but if you stay surrounded by awesome people, she's in there. Then you'll be successful. So
Man, you know what? I was just about to ask you what would be some advice that you would give to somebody, but you basically just gave people advice if they caught it, and I love that. Surround yourself with the
yeah,
people that you aspire to be like, and then you'll become that.
right,
That's why I hang out with James Brooks, right?
right. Everybody know James. Everybody know James. That's my boy. Yeah, good people. You can feed off good energy. And that's just the way it
Absolutely.
works. It's a lot of good people out here, and there's a lot of hammerheads. But it's not to say, oh, I'm gonna get some tips to win, or no, just good people. Good things come from good people good energy. They always got your back. You got theirs. Just it's like I said, it's a great community, and you find the bright stars in that community. And if you just so happen to link up and mash with them, it's even better. You not only get a good learning experience, but you stay positive in all you do. You don't hear about, James getting into Devilman or doing stupid stuff or arguing with people. You don't hear about that from the Clarences. And there's a lot more that just do what they, just good people, and, you find those good people that surround yourself with them and they look forward to you on Friday. I mean, it's literally like a family. When you go and cook like you did all them times, I'm sure there was people there, couldn't wait till Vanessa showed up, and it was just a exciting Friday. And that you see them literally more than your friends at home or sometimes more than family because you're seeing them every Friday, every Saturday, spending
Right.
the week.
Those are those friends that become your family. Yeah,
Right.
for sure. For
This
sure.
it's just
Do you ever go back home and do that cook off there in Refria, the Two Broke Cookers, Renee and Irene's cook off? Do you ever go back home and do that cook off?
right. We go every year. A little bit of because I guess pay homage or whatever, but we go. It's fun. I've won it one year, and that's what that was. I guess you can go back to the bucket list, and not necessarily bucket list, but being from Inferior, I did want to win a cook off there and get into the Inferior Advantage Press. What? But
Yeah, exactly.
I've
Exactly.
won that one years ago when it was at it's the Fairgrounds, Padilla Hall. And then, of course, being from the Kingsbury, but Luling area, I wanted to win the Roughneck one. And that one's always been one hard one to tackle. And I won that one, I think, 2 years ago. So those, and then Seguin, because I live in Kingsbury, which is in between Luling and Seguin. So I do business in both areas, bank and, shop in both towns. And so we did Seguin until we finally knocked that one out and I GC'd that one. So I kind of cleared that little bucket list, if you want to call it, winning a GC. I'm gonna call it in my hometowns,
That's
so
right. In your hometowns. I love it.
right. So we go back to Refugio, like I said, every cook off and cook that one, and it's fun to, this year was actually weird. We didn't even have no local Refugio people cook. I know they had a poker tournament going on, but it usually be. I know I take that back. Stephen Cantu was out there, but other than that, it's usually one or two guys, three teams, somebody we know, like, hey, and they're excited and we know them. We usually went to school with them. It was a straight up, competition cooker cook off this year. Irene and them
And
have grown it.
I was planning on going this year because I went the year that we had that freeze, like that crazy
Right.
freeze that came through. I was there
Right.
that year. The best I got was a fifth place chicken, but we had planned to go back this year, and then my daughter had a competition, and for me and my kids got to come first, so we had
Right.
to take care of her first, and so we missed out. But no, absolutely want to go back to that one, and I'm a park by you so I could get some chicken tips while we're there.
Yeah, I think
um,
everybody was sharing tips at that one. It was a rough one, man. It was top notch cooks there in the Furio. It was rough.
You know what? But that just proves that like some good barbecue is coming from Refugio. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's talk. I got two more things for you real quick, and then we're gonna be done. So I have to ask you, what does your week look like? Like if you know you're preparing for a cook-off on Saturday, what does your week look like to prepare for that? What's your prep week look like?
Um, that's the thing. It's almost I'm lost when I don't cook. Like I'm not cooking this week, so that's why I was like, let's do it. I set it for 7 o'clock because I didn't know if I was or not. But usually, if I don't get out to the grocery stores on Sunday, then I go Monday when I get in from work. I stop in my big truck, at HEB and get everything I need. If I don't have it here at the house and then come home and unload it, and that's it. Now, relax my Monday, I call it. I'm off. I go do yard work or something on Monday because starting Tuesday, I leave to work early, like in between 2:30 and 4 in the morning. And so I can get in anywhere between 2 in the afternoon to 6, 7 at night. And so if I get in late, I only have certain things I got to get done. So Monday, I call it off or grocery store day. Then Tuesday, I actually do meat prep, which is, I open all my meats and prep them out, get them in Tupperwares and make sure I like them because that gives me 2 to 3 more days to get back to HEB and my ribs aren't good enough, or my brisket got a gash in it, or Andy couldn't get my brisket to me, or whatever the case may be. I have, ample time. And so meats are on Tuesday. Wednesday, I do liquid prep, which are all my injections. And like I stated earlier, again, I'm still from the old school days where you didn't tell nobody nothing. So I don't take nothing to a cook-off but what I'm gonna use, and they're all in containers. Like I don't know what it
Aaron does
was.
the
I
same
just
thing. Yeah,
yeah,
Aaron
like
does the same exact
I have
thing.
no labels in my trailer. Again, I tell you what it is because now it's different. Everybody's telling, but back then, you didn't know, get away. You don't know what this is. This is secret, so
That's
it's a habit I've had. And then of course, from when I took my first class, that's certain things that I picked up on, and those guys are winning with those techniques. So I kept them, Wednesday's liquid prep day, put them in the back ice box and nobody goes in, pass by it, open it up, look at them, move them around and put them back. It's just, that's what I was taught back then. And I still do it to this day, and that's Wednesday is liquid prep. And then that way Thursday is pretty much get ready to go. Cause again, I work weird hours, and that's why people give me grief Friday. I get into the cook off at 11, 12 at night, because sometimes I still work Friday, and I might get in at 3, 4, 5 o'clock, then still got to drive 2, 3 hours to the cook off. Well, I still got to get home, and now that I got a little one, I still do small things. I might have to go get her, or throw some clothes. I got to do something to help the house so I don't get chewed out too much. Throw some clothes in the laundry, do some dishes, and then I got to bathe and get going. So I don't leave till 6, 7. But Thursday, it's basically load up the RV, uh, hook up the truck, check wood, make all the outside stuff is ready to go. My woods and the pit's loaded and got my water and everything's ready to go. That way, Friday, I just get off, load myself and my immediate packings, belongings, and jump in the truck and roll out Friday. And then come home Saturday. And I'm usually self-contained. So Saturday when I get in, everything comes out of the trailer when I come out, which is, bag of dirty clothes, spices, and dirty dishes. Or clean dishes because I wash them there, but bring them in the house, put them up. And Sundays, chill mode, if we don't go to the grocery store. And Monday, we'll start the process all over. So it's, when I don't go cooking, the afternoons during the week are like, what do
what
I
am I
do?
supposed to do right now? Yeah.
Right. So, yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
for sure. Man, I told you I was only going to ask you one more question, but I got to ask you one more just because it's something you said earlier and it really just like sparked my interest. I had no idea that you did tractor pulls. Like, how long did you do that? Like, how did you guys do? Like, give me a little bit more on that. And then I'm going to ask you my last question, I promise.
Yeah, no problem. We did it was it's called antique tractor pulling. My dad has, I'm in the process of getting one. He stepped up the game a little bit to a little bit hot rodder tractor, but it's basically anything 1960 and older. And we go out and tie onto a sled and pull. And it started, just something, again, my sister could do when she was in high school. And she's a little large, short thing. And then I could do it. My dad could do it. So, all of us could do it and we enjoyed it. And so we did it on Saturdays. And so we'd find out where they are and you go spend all Saturday. And like I said, it's boring unless you're the one doing it. It is super boring because it's an old little tractor with an old man on it going super slow that's just having the blast of his life. But it's just like, it's like watching paint dry, so you gotta be into it to actually like it. And so we did that for I want to say about 4 or 5 years. And like any other sport, you want to get good at it and be the best at it. And so you start investing a little more money and get a little bit better tractors. And every now and then you can find tractors cheap and fix them up, hop them up. And like I said, now my dad's actually got a hot rod tractor. It looks all fancy with chrome wheels and he actually goes fast. I'm still scary, because if I fall, I'm gonna hurt something. So I'm not trying to go extremely fast on it, but I will get one almost as good or not, comparable to it eventually, because it's fun to do. You take the the kids out, and most of them, they have like agriculture or some kind of theme that goes with them. Like you can go and see how corn was made back in the day and mills, or see just how the actual old farm engines worked. Steam engines be out there, and see how things were done back in the day. And so from an agriculture point and learning standpoint, it's fun when the kids are around it. I learned a lot doing it, and I was a grown man, but my sister learned a lot, and eating homemade ice cream. A lot of these events have old, activities like that, corn chucking, ice cream making, how things were done back in the day with, simple motors, 1 and 2 horsepower motors and such. So eventually, my daughter, I got her a little tractor. It's a little pedal tractor, but it's still like what we pull. And she gets on it from time to time. And when she gets older, we'll probably get her a little actual tractor, and she'll get into it. Like I said, it's fun, and it gives you something else to do as a family. And it doesn't cost a whole, well, you got to travel and own the actual tractors, but other than travel, and that it is not like, $400 or $500 weekend. You can actually go have fun, cheap. It's almost like camping. You know, don't take a
Man,
lot, but you can have a lot of fun as a
I love
family unit.
that. I love that. That's really cool. I had no idea that you did tractor pulls. I bet people are gonna watch this and be like, everybody knows that about Ira, but I had no clue. I had no clue.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
last
fun, but I mean,
question.
it's slow.
eh, Last
Mm.
question, then we're gonna wrap it up. Are you a superstitious person when
Yeah.
it comes to barbecue?
Uh, I would say yes and no. I mean, everybody has their day, so you're gonna win or you're not. But I mean, there are certain things I might wear or do to, you know, it's one of those things like, man, if I would have had my cat, you know, I bet I would have won. It's just so, I have a cap I wear. It just so happened it's a burnt bean hat. It's one of the oldest first ones he put out, and it was one of my cook-offs in Lockhart, and I got it from him. He gave it to me, and I actually ended up RGCing that day, and I had a good cook. And I was like, could it be this hat? And I didn't think so, because it was a little ass hat. I got a big ass head. And so I just wore it, and then it was black, and it was a cool hat. And so I would wear it because I was never into fitted hats or anything like that. But this one just fit, kind of comfortable, but it was tight. And of course, being so old now, it's broke in, but I seem to do good when I wear it. And then one day I didn't wear it. I think I left it here at home, and I didn't do good. So I took it back with me the next weekend, and I did good. And I was like, God damn it, is this hat? I didn't have like lucky underwear or anything. And
But you had a lucky hat. I like
yeah, I got a
it.
lucky hat. And so now that hat stays in the trailer. And after I light my fire in the morning, if it's not cold outside or I need a beanie, the hat goes on. When I do my turn ins, I put my cap on. And like I said, it's been through rough times, but it's my cap, but that's about, other than that, that's probably the only one that I religiously make sure I have now with me when I go and
So
do.
that's
So
that's part of your packing is making sure where's the cap? The cap has
yeah,
got to be in there. Yeah.
that's my cap. And like I said, I get to the cook off, trade out whatever hat I'm wearing, and I cook in that hat. And so I've never won it
I
to
love it.
awards, and I've never won it outside of just cooking, sweating in it, working in it. So, but that's about the only one that I have, that's crazy little hat. And other than that, I'm like, I don't believe in it too much, because I can go down the rabbit hole quick, and I end up doing the same thing. I'm OCD, so I don't want to have to tap its door 3 times before I walk out or nothing like that. So I try to self-control that, and just, it's a hat. I need a hat anyway, so we'll blame it on the hat as my little, uh, how you say, good luck charm.
There we go. There we go. Not so much a superstition as it is a good luck charm. I like that.
Right.
Ira, was there anything else you want to share with anybody possibly watching before we wrap this up?
No, other than, if you see me and need some, come holler at me. If I got it, it's yours. You're more than welcome to it. So I tell people, you want to know something, let me know. And if it's something I feel like telling you, I tell you now. But yeah, just holler at me. Anybody ever need something, or what you doing? Oh, she's getting popcorn. But yeah, just, I'm an open book. Anybody want to chat or something, just let me know. I'm always down to help
Y'all that are
someone.
watching this, he really does mean that. I was having a hard time the last cook-off that we went to because, of the firebox incident. And he gave me some encouraging words and joked it off with me and made me feel better about it. So he really does mean it when he says, if you need something, go find him and talk to him. But
Yes,
Ira,
ma'am.
thank
And
you
I'm
so much
brutally
for visiting
honest.
with me this evening.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
appreciate your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Those of y'all that are watching, remember, everybody is somebody in barbecue, and I love y'all.
Bye.
All those times I said that I love you.